Very good morning to everyone. As part of learning software design technique using C#, today we are going to improve the application that we develop as part of this course to the next level right now. As of now, we have implemented a validation. After validating the record, we are inserting them to a table and displaying them in a grid view. Right now, we have some discrepancies or some sort of issues with the existing design as well the existing application. Let me show those issues first, and then I will explain the potential fix for those. Okay, now let us do it one by one. First of all, let me run the application to you and show you that how it is working currently. All right, now. So to run it, so for that, I just use the start button here. So this is the application that we have presently. Let me add a record without filling any fields now. So when I do so, it is showing an error. This is great because we are validating the record. If the records are not filled, we display a message. Okay, no. So we are adding it now. Right. Then okay. The problem that we have at present is we cannot change the record that we added to the table. See, for example, I want to change the value of this one, milk from 40 to something else. I can't do it because we don't have such a provision. So the only way is I can go and type it in the grid view. Right, this is one way of doing it, but it is not advisable to do the editing operation in this grid view as per a very good software designing practice. Why? The reason behind that is this is the grid views are just for output, so you cannot feed input through them. So that is how it is. So when you design any software application, you have two parts in your application screen. Like one is for input, another one is for output. You should not use your output section at any point of time to feed input. If you do so, you are adding complexity to your application. That is not best software designing technique right now. So if that is the case, but now I have a provision to add records, right? So I can go and click here and I can make some sort of things. So this may throw these sort of errors. Now, the first thing that we have to do is we have to arrest these sort of errors. This should not come, because if this error comes, the user may uh, distracted, and then he may um, think like there is some issue with the application, but it is not actually. It is some sort of input type is not matching. Because of that, it is showing that error. If you clear that, that will go right. So these things we have to arrest. Similar way, when you want to add, when you do some sort of empty records, it is keep on adding. So actually we added only two valid record. After that, we have some empty rows. These would not be allowed, right? So we should not allow empty rows in the output sections. That is one thing. After doing that, when you want to modify of any certain records, you should have a track of them. Maybe probably you should get them. You have a provision to fetch them fetch them specifically and then load them in some section where you can edit. Probably in our case, when I want to update this record, so I should have a provision. Otherwise, it would be great to have a provision by selecting this rows, entire rows. If I populate these input sections with this detail right now, and then after modification, there can be some command buttons through which I can change the record value so that I can modify modify my inputs right now. So as of now, that provision is not there. And then when we select, as of now, the selection is you are selecting cell selection. That is not appropriate. When you select update records, you should select them completely. Wherever you, upon clicking any cells, it should select the complete row. We have an option to do that. We have an option in C# design properties. We can make that change to work right now. Those things we are going to do today. Okay, now let me start one by one. First thing is I want to make this data grid as view as a read only, because the user can read this content, but he cannot go and edit that one. That is one thing. And then I want to remove new line addition in the output section. That means user should not, it should not, I think we should not provide the option for user to add blank rows in the output section. Right. Those things we can fix in the data grid view first. Okay. So for that, we go and stop the application. So here is your record. What you can do first, you can say read only. You make that as true. And then we have a multi-selection option. We want always to select a single row because we don't have provision to display multiple records in input section upon selection. So I make that option to false. And then selection mode, as of now, it is a row header select mode, so that we can change that to full row selects. Even the row headers know that we don't want to show them row header visible because we want to start from the records. That I set to false. So after that, we made that to read only. Column border size, the right, header visible. Allow user to add rows, no? So we should make it false. Allow user to delete rows. And even make this to false from my view. Okay, that's all. Let us save this change and run the application and see what we are getting now. See, previously we had a empty rows here that is not there, and then the row header was there, that is also not there. Now we have the fixed perfect table which contains only our fields. Right. Then we go for second record. Okay, we have these records. Also, when we click on any cells, it selects complete rows. That is another thing. Now, I want to modify. I have some records here. Maybe after the issue can happen at any point of time. So, if the issue happens before you insert the record into the table, that we can handle it via validation. Okay, now that's why we have validation, the field check. After adding that to the table, now we are seeking option to modify the record. Is that possible? Possible. How? We can use a technique. Upon selecting any rows in this grid, we can populate them in this fields. Maybe we can use, if you don't want to do it upon selection, you can say like upon double click. Upon double clicking that, we can feed there. Like that we can do right now. So in order to update a record, you should either you have to manually feed that records here, and then you have to update it. But that is little bit time consuming. That is not suitable when you have a business which need a frequent feeding. Uh, that is a peak business. So that's why what our aim is, on double clicking this grid a row, we want to we want to populate them into the fields, and then we want to update them. Right. Right. So how to do that? So we have an option for double clicking. We can trigger a event handler, or we can trigger an event upon double clicking data grid view rows. Right now, for that, let me first stop the application, and then we have event handlers here. No, can say like cell double click. Right. Now what we are going to do, we are going to fetch the data from that record, and then we are going to populate them in the fields, form fields. Right. So for that, I should know these forms field properties. So this is going to receive input from data grid v1. So in that, selected rows, among them the first row, that means if there are multiple rows, we are going to select the one row. Anyhow, we are going to have only one row in our case. Then after that, we have to say cells. So you can use the name that you gave for data table columns, right? Dot value dot to string, right? So let us do the same now. As far as amount is concerned, we need not fill that, because if we fill the existing thing, we are not going to modify the amount that is automatically calculated. So from my view, it is not required to populate that. Then only we will know that we have to pause the required condition to compute the amount. Right now, populating these three fields are enough. Upon selecting the grid, let us check whether that happens now. Now we have these two records. Now we want to change the rate of this. To do that, I just double click here. Upon double clicking that record, I am getting the populated record here. The problem with this one is we are not going to, we cannot, because the record is already there in the table. Already there in the table. Now, can we use a description to modify the record, because we have taken the records that is available in the table to the form. Now we are modifying it. After modifying it, where we have to fit that in the table, we have to fit that in the exact record. Right now, how to do that? We can use a description to do it, but there is a possibility of duplicating. There are possibility to have duplicate item names, maybe two different milks and two different soaps. But the difference, or the description is same, but the rates are different. That is possible, right? No, milk with 45 rupees, milk with 50 rupees, like that. So there is a possibility of duplication. We can have a duplication in the item name, also possible in rate, also possible in quantity. Then what is the way to, how can we influence? Otherwise, how can we how can we update the newly updated value to the respective record? We should have some sort of uniqueness in the records that we have in the table. Otherwise, we should associate some sort of unique IDs with every record. Using that only, we can modify them. Obviously, we have these IDs that we are adding. No, these are this will not be duplicate. Always they are unique. They are serial number only. No, we can use that serial number as a key to update the record. So these three fields can have duplication, but that doesn't matter, because we have a unique IDs. So we are going to use that ID to update the record right now. So for that, so where to do that? We should populate that ID somewhere in the in the memory. Then only we can use them, right? No. So what we are going to do, when the people select these, when user select a record, we are also going to copy the ID somewhere, but that should not be visible to the user, because if we show the IDs when we manipulate the record, it is not that much good. So that we are going to hide that. Let me tell you a software technique how to do that. We are going to use it to hide the ID of the record that we selected. but that is needed for us to update the record. Okay, for that, I'm adding a dummy text box. Maybe I can call, otherwise I can add a text box and call that as ID. Right, so here it is. I call that as ID. Right. So now save that, come here. Right. But that ID should not, the use people should not see that ID when we are working with a form. So what I'm going to do, there is an option called visibility. I change that option to false. That's it. Now we have to, after when we modify that, we have to update that record. No, for that I use an update button. When that button is clicked, so we have to update the records of data grid view. Which record to update? We can use the record which has the ID that is populated in the ID text box. That we can use that as a reference to pick the record that we have to update, because there are a lot of records. We selected one records and updated that record content. In order to update that update in the table, we should know which record it is. For that only we are using that ID as a reference. So now what I'm going to do, so I'm going to use a for loop here. So I'm also going to use a rider here in rider, and I come back here for rider is equal to 0, rider less than, you should go to all the records, no, data grid views, grid v1 dot rows dot count rider plus plus. Now here, now I'm going to check if data grid view v1 dot rows dot cells rows of rider dot cells of ID, that means the ID field is equal to text box dot value is equal to text box underscore ID dot text. You have to convert that into integer because this is integer. Convert in 32. That's all. Right now. Saying we are getting an error. Let me check what is that error. cannot be applied to the operation type object and int. Okay, maybe we have to convert this into convert in 32. Solve the issue. Yeah. So the integer equivalent of that data grid view ID sorry, and that is if the ID of the data grid view is equivalent to data grid view record is equivalent to the ID of the text box ID, then the value in the text box ID, then what you do, we are going to update the records in the data grid view. So data grid view records all right, go to C dot value is equal to, so we don't need to update the ID because we know the ID. Then we can go for item name. The value is equal to that we have in this one, right? So text box text dot trim. Right, then I think these things are not needed. Then we have this next cell. Right, so we are done with. Right. Let me tell you then another issue that we face. First, let us check whether this is working. We are having some issues as well. Why we are getting that issue? Okay, maybe. Right. For doing that, we no need to run the remaining record. Just we can break and come out. Now, item name is soap, and the rate is 65 rupees. Quantity is 52. We add that. Then we have milk and so now we have two records in this table. We want to update one of them. Let me select one and I want to change the quantity of this to 5. So I double click that. It is populated. Then I change the quantity to 5 now. After changing that to 5, I press tab. Right, now it should go and update that in this one now. For that, you just click update button. Right. So upon clicking update button, now the quantity is changed to 5. Now I want to fix this rate. It is 65. No, let me change that to 70. For that, I come here and I change the rate to 70, and then I just update. So I made the mistake in the description itself. It is like Margot soap, right? And then I just go and after doing it, you have to do the complete this section, because then only you will get a latest amount, updated amount. After doing that, I just hit update button. My description is changing. So now it is possible for me to pick a record and update it. Right, that is possible now. Right. So today what we learned is how to update a records. If from in a database or in the table that we or the table that we have prepared by adding records. Right now, in that, how to modify records, that we learned today. And also we learned what are the software techniques that we have to use to build a tightly packed application which handles this update record operation in a great manner. Right now, that we achieved today. Okay, team, I want to stop today's session with this. Let me catch you with additional details in upcoming session. Thank you. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to our channel to get more technical details about more to get the more technical details about different tools. Also, share our videos to your family and friends.